Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
A very, very good morning. Wednesday, the 11th of January. You ready? Okay. I'm sorry about last night. We didn't get to the 100 shares on the Facebook page, so I just didn't do the content of the transmission. We'll just have to wait for that. Let me just brighten this light in front of me. Give me a bit more light. That'll do. Good morning, Tony. Glad you could join us. I miss you when you're not here, Tony. Okay. A year ago, the Oldham Times, again after being exposed on the Recusant 9 transmissions, were forced to run with an article to do with the Lib Dem leader, Howard Sykes. What Howard Sykes had done was borderline unlawful. What Howard Sykes had done was borderline unlawful. Good morning, Yvonne. It's been a while. Happy New Year to you. And let me show you. Let me go through it first. In the typical style of Raja, get your iPad working, connected. Anytime now, maybe. Just bear with me. I think my it says my cable on it says unbreakable. I pay extra for it, so this unbreakable cable is clearly not so unbreakable. Okay, here we go. Look at the date. 14th of January 2022, so it's just coming up to a year. And this only emerged after we leaked the information. Probe after Oldham's Liberal Democrat leader leaks personal information by mistake, in inverted commas, as you can see. Good morning, Rachel. A probe is underway after Oldham's Liberal Democrat leader, Howard Sykes, leaked personal details from council information to a member of the public. An incident he says was a mistake. Now I'm going to go into the contents and the process of this, but we'll just remind everyone. Failsworth Independent Party leader, Councillor Brian Hoban, was told Councillor Sykes, who received findings of public requests in his position as leader of one of the two main opposition parties, sent personal details from one of them to a person. That person was the malicious blogger and the proven liar. Yeah. But Councillor Sykes has said he forwarded a response without deleting or redacting the inquirer's details. It is a mistake which Councillor Sykes regrets and apologised for without reservation. He reported the incident to the Information Commissioner's Office, the ICO, which upholds information rights to the public in the public interest. Councillor Sykes has also self-referred himself to the Council Standards Committee. So that's two places it's gone to, the ICO and the Council Standards Committee. The council has reported a matter to the ICO as well. So that's 3 separate reports, yeah? The incident comes after the conclusion of an investigation which was launched by council leader, Councillor Arooj Shah. So that's 4 reports. At the full council meeting, Councillor Shah reported she had been told of claims that there had been leaks and breaches of data. She added, local people should be able to trust that we manage their data and manage confidential council information in appropriate ways and keep it as safe as possible. That's our responsibility and our duty of people contact us with good faith and expect us to do that. I've already asked officers to undertake an urgent review and investigate who, if anyone, is inappropriately sharing confidential information. And we will take the strongest action possible against anyone found to be leaking or sharing things inappropriately. After discovering Councillor Sykes was responsible for leaking details from an FOI request, Councillor Hoban sent a letter to him expressing his disappointment. Within it, Councillor Hoban wrote, "Your actions now leave my fellow Failsworth Independent Party councillors and I, and quite possibly many of the remaining councillors, in a position where we cannot work with you in council. How can you expect any of us to openly discuss or correspond anything at council, committee or panel with you present? As a result of your actions, I now feel your position is untenable," as in Sykes should have resigned. Of course he didn't. I believe that you have been an employee found. I believe that had you been an employee found to be carrying out these actions, you would rightly be dismissed for gross misconduct. So that is the leader of the opposition being accused of gross misconduct, quite rightly. As this is not the case, as in you're not an employee, I consider that the only honourable option available is that you resign your post with immediate effect, including your position as elected member for the constituency of Shaw. He didn't. In response, Councillor Sykes said, "I responded directly and as soon as practically possible to the person concerned. He turned up at her house uninvited. And he got a home address unlawfully, or used that unlawfully, by the way. And I've apologised for my accidental disclosure." It wasn't accidental at all, was it, Sykes? "I also reported the matter to the Information Commissioner and self-referred myself to the Oldham Council Standards Committee for consideration under my Councillor's Code of Conduct. Freedom of information responses provided by councils are publicly available documents. For many years, Oldham Council has provided copies of its public responses to me, including the names and contact details of those making inquiries where that has been given." So he's blaming the council. "Unfortunately, on this occasion, an error was made and one response was forwarded to me without me deleting or redacting the inquirer's details. Was forwarded by me without me deleting or redacting the inquirer's details. It is a mistake and I regret and apologise without reservation. Any further inquiries about the original information breach by Oldham Council, which has since changed its procedures, should be taken up directly with the council." Okay? A year ago, 1 year ago, let me switch camera and I want to write something down so you can see it. I've got it working. Yep. And have a slurp on my chocolate. A very good morning to the 60 of you who are viewing me this morning. That's the sound of me slurping chocolate. Switch camera, switch microphones. This one's a bit noisier, I'm afraid, but I'll get it fixed at some point. Okay. So what these people are admitting to is, one, that an FOI response by Oldham Council was shared with councillors. Including names and addresses of the people who sent them in. This is a data breach. This is a black and white data breach. Okay? Secondly, what Howard Sykes is admitting is he forwarded the FOI response. Now remember, the FOI response that this person sent in was private. They did not put it on the What Do They Know site. They sent it in privately. So if I send in a freedom of information request privately, that is one way. It should have been one-way information. And that information should only have gone back to the person who submitted the request. What Howard Sykes has been claiming is that his mistake was sharing that response with a malicious blogger and leaving the person's name and address on. Wrong. Howard Sykes should never have forwarded any content in that Freedom of Information letter to the malicious blogger and proven liar. 3. Why is the leader of the opposition party working in partnership with the malicious blogger? The malicious blogger, if he wants information, can access information by submitting requests to the council. It's even as straightforward as that. It's as straightforward as that. Did the malicious blogger request this information from Howard Sykes? No. Howard Sykes sent this information maliciously to try and knowing full well what would happen to the victim. 4. OMBC claim they have investigated their FOI procedures and made changes. This means OMBC have admitted fault. So, where is the report? That's the first thing we want. Where is the report? Where is this report to this investigation? Second bit, sorry, I have the second bit that's relevant here is Howard Sykes has claimed he has referred himself to the Information Commission officers for investigation and also the Standards Committee. If he was being in any way honest, sorry, wrong colour. If he was being in any way honest, these two reports, responses from the ICO, would be published and the Standards Committee investigation would be shared. My understanding is that investigation hasn't even taken place because it's been covered up. 6, OMBC claim they have reported the matter to the ICO. Well, in that case, where is the ICO response to Oldham Council? Okay, so those are 4 specific items of information, 4 specific items of information that the members of the public have every right to see. Where is the council's own investigation report? This is a question that needs to go into the council. It is a question that needs to go in via one of the freedom of information requests, via what do they know, so there's no ambiguity, and they've got to be forced to response. I'll put the questions up in a Facebook post later. I urge at least 5 or 6 of you to rewrite it into your own words and submit it. First of all, using the what do they know page as a freedom of information request. Secondly, as a submission, as a question submitted for the next full council meeting. And thirdly, in an urgent email to Howard Sykes, copying in Amanda Chadderton and CCing in your MP. And this is how we will grind this democracy down, this sham of a democracy down, specifically targeting gross misconduct and a dereliction of duty. Exactly, John. Happy New Year to you too. This is how we will destroy them. So I need 6 volunteers to start with. 9's always nice, you know, keep things going. 9 volunteers who are willing to do this. Every one of us will put in the FOI request. Every one of us will contact our councillor, copying in, Councillor Howard Sykes and Amanda Chadderton, copying in your MP. Ideally, some of you will be Angela Rayner's constituents, some of you will be Jim McMahon's constituents, and some of you will be Debbie Abraham's constituents. It's untouchable, and they are untouchable, Sue, because no one prior to this platform and this work has gone for them in a coordinated, systematic manner until we came along. They have been untouchable because the opposition politicians are in bed with the Labour Party paymasters. Thank you, Tony. That's exactly what I want. I've got Tony Martin is 1. Who else? Who's going to come to this fight with the courage and use the powers that we have to hold them account? I'm not in the business of throwing petrol bombs or sending gangsters to follow people home or threatening politicians. I'm in the business of using our democratic powers to hold these corrupt politicians in council offices to account. Julie, 2. I've got 78 people watching. Tony, your MP's McMahon. Julie, your MP is also McMahon. So, okay, so I've got 2 for McMahon. And there we have it. I'll go and get myself a brew and see if any more names come up. Thank you, Anthony. I'm just getting myself a brew. And thank you, Julie, and your dad. Exactly, Anthony. We need to bring these people to account. Get my blue ribbon back. Okay, we got, put the names up. Tony's first in. Julie. Julie's dad's free. Anthony Wrigley, 4. And his MP's Debbie Abrahams. Karen Dickinson, 5. Lazar, 6. It is a Bosch kettle. How could you tell? Could you tell? Could you tell? Good morning, Jeanette. No, I woke up this morning. I didn't sleep very well, Jeanette, after last night, and I woke up very early, and I thought, okay, let's start going for these people in the way we talked about last week, which was a coordinated civil rights social justice campaign. No one in this country, well, they can do, is going to arrest me for mobilizing the public to exercise their democratic right to hold politicians and power to account. Are you Detective Sergeant Christopher Dean or Detective Inspector Kenny Blaine or any of you from Operation Hexagon? Andy Burnham, your new police commissioner, Kate, whatever she's called. I met her once. She gave me a coffee. She was an MP and she used to be the chief executive for Child Action Poverty Group, I think. Okay, I need a few more. And what we're going to do, and you can put your names up now or email me privately, but I think it's telling. I'm sorry. I think it's very telling. I think it's very telling. Now, when it comes to it, how few of us, for whatever reason, and I'm not judging, but I think it's very telling. So what we're going to do is submit questions via Freedom of Information. Submit questions for the next council meeting and submit an email to Howard Sykes and to Amanda Chadderton asking specifically what's been done on the bits to do specifically with them and copying our MPs. None of this is unlawful. None of this is illegal. And if I can't get half a dozen or a dozen, between half a dozen and a dozen people with the courage to do this, then we might as well call it quits. No, Karen, I had this conversation with Lynn yesterday when she was like, I can see data, you can't. There are 90 people viewing these transmissions right now. I've got a screen and I can see information you can't. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm sure there are some not here this morning who will happily join in. I'm sure the likes of Gary Tarbuck will happily join in and so on and so on. But there are people who are viewing. Maybe they're all from Oldham Council. But what clearly took place is it's now been a year. It's now been a year since a serious data breach of where the leader of the opposition forwarded information to a malicious blogger that was used to target, harass and intimidate this member of the public. And her only crime, and I don't like this woman, by the way, but her only crime was she submitted a Freedom of Information request. And for that, she was targeted, harassed and intimidated. And what it unearthed was an entire system of data handling within the council that was not fit for purpose. So where does that take us? It's been a year. It's been a year. Caught red-handed. And don't for 1 minute think that was the only time this sort of information has been leaked in this way. He was just caught. That's all. He was just caught. These are the election results for sure. These are the election results for sure. I think you're fortunate, Dennis. You're like me, aren't you? I mean, I'd do it. But, you know, I also, as they keep reminding everyone, I live in Tameside currently. These are the election results for sure. Just remove Tony there. Sorry, Dennis there. Hazel Gloucester recently, at the last elections on the Thursday the 5th of May 2022, secured her seat in what has been a Lib Dem stronghold by just over 100 votes, 102 votes. If, as you can see here, the Conservatives did not put a candidate in Shaw, clearing the way for Mark Hinds, and the Labour Party, who know they can't win, but did put a candidate up because they put a candidate up knowing that it will keep Mark Hinds out. And then they pushed the narrative between the Lib Dems and the Labour Party in particular that Mark Hinds, who was until recently a Labour Party member, historically a proud socialist, I'd say. The conversations I've had with him, he's definitely left of centre. He's not right of centre, he's definitely left of centre in terms of his politics. They attacked him. The Labour Party helped sabotage Mark Hinds' campaign to make sure Hazel Gloucester won. And she won just by 100 votes. You can see. The total votes cast in the area was 2,411, when the electorate was just under 8,000, 7,948. So over 5,000 people didn't vote. Over 5,000 people in Shaw did not vote. Turnout, what's that turnout? Something like 30%, a third? No, he hasn't, Michelle. Howard Sykes never gave an explanation as to why he even sent the information. It's one of the points I raised. Because say the malicious blogger is a journalist. The journalists have approved lines of communication with the council through the press officer, Jenny Harvey. You know, the well-heeled woman that Sean Fielding brought in to try and protect him. Shouldn't be there. If I ran the council, if I had any influence over running the council, I'd sack every one of those in the press office. I think it's over £1 million of your money is paid out in salaries and resources to run that press office. I'd sack every one of them and redirect that £1 million into community services. So, Mark Hinds is standing in Shaw with his team of right and independence. He's given up the proud of Oldham and Saddleworth banner, thankfully. It's a circus act. And it has baggage. And I'm never quite sure how you push the narrative of being proud of Oldham and Saddleworth with the people of Shaw when their names aren't even represented in the title. Why is Saddleworth represented and Shaw not represented? Shaw has a rich history of its own. Same with Crompton. So Mark Hinds is standing in Shaw, and he's also got a candidate in Crompton. So they're contesting 2 wards that are traditional Lib Dem strongholds. And here, you had Michelle Moore. She wasn't the best of candidates with her, if I'm honest. But you can see the massive majority. This is more reflective of how the Lib Dems control Shaw and Crompton. Look at that. The combined votes of all the opposition parties would not touch the Lib Dem vote. And that's how it's historically been. That's how it's historically been. I'm not sure what and how well he'll do, but he's got at least one candidate there in Crompton. But I think they've definitely got a chance in Shaw. I think they've definitely got a chance in Shaw. And just to give you sorry, just give me a second and I'll find something. I just want to show you something. I just want to go back. Go back to 2018. Before really the Recusant 9 transmissions came forward. Hi David, you'll be able to fast forward a bit where I went for a coffee break and hopefully catch up. And look at Shaw. Hazel Gloucester again. Do you see what a massive lead she had? $1,023 votes, so her votes haven't gone up. But out of nowhere, a Shaw independent voice has emerged and is within 100 votes of taking her out. You see, she got 1,023 votes in 2018. And if you look at Crompton, $1,359. So their vote share stayed pretty much the same. Do you see? It stayed pretty much the same. Now, why am I focusing? Why am I focusing on Howard Sykes and Shaw and Crompton? Well, the truth is, Mark Hintz has worked very hard over the last 3 or 4 years. He's pulled together a party. He's pulled together a party on his own. He's putting up candidates. I think he wants more candidates. I think the ideal scenario, by the way, in Shaw, and what will get him over the line like that is the third candidate. I think he's got Lisa Navsi, I think, and himself as candidates in Shaw. The third candidate, if he got the third Shaw Independence Party, or Shaw and Crompton Independence Party, I'm not even sure what his party's called, but Shaw and Crompton Independence, if he got his third candidate as one of the Bangladeshis, and there's a small but, significant Bangladeshi voting community in Shaw, long-standing, if the third candidate came from that community, it would destroy the Lib Dems. He'd take all 3 seats. He'd take all 3 seats. So that would be my advice if I was in a position to give advice for sure. But we are going to pin down Howard Sykes between now and May because of this. If a complaint has gone to the Standards, if he self-referred himself to the Standards Committee, is the borough solicitor, Paul Bentwistle, who's responsible for coordinating the Standards Committee, by the way, is the borough solicitor, Paul Bentwistle, going to claim that a year has passed and the Standards Committee has not issued sanctions against Howard Sykes? He's admitted, well, he's got caught red-handed, and the consequences is admitted to serious data breaches. What was the punishment as a consequence of his admittance? Or is it? Have you noticed something? Have you people noticed something? Since you joined me on this journey, we've managed to cause so much outrage, specifically around the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. Have you noticed how never, not once, was those motions calling for a public inquiry or for those to be held accountable, not once was those motions put forward by Sam Al-Hamdani, Mark Kenyon, any of the Gloucesters, or Howard Sykes. Not once have the Lib Dems brought forward any motion wanting to protect our town's children. Is it a coincidence, then, that Howard Sykes is in communication with a malicious blogger? Is it a coincidence that Rod Blythe, Howard Sykes' mate and fellow Shaw, for a long time, 20 years plus, Shaw councillor, Lib Dem councillor, is a convicted child sex offender, that the Lib Dems, the Labour Party, the Oldham Council, and the mainstream media all kept hidden? Is that a coincidence? No. These people have been working in partnership. That's my position. These people have been working in partnership. They've carved up the town and they've been working in partnership. Shaw and Crompton, and they've given Shaw and Crompton that comical district council, or whatever it's called, parish council. Doesn't, it's a disgrace. It needs to be abolished. But they've given Shaw and Crompton, so they've pinned them there. So you lot go and have that over there. They've given the Conservatives and the Lib Dems to fight over in Saddleworth. You go and have that parish council over there. It's time to end this. And the starting point, unbelievably in my opinion, of attacking the Lib Dems on Oldham Council isn't in Saddleworth Western Lees, where Paul Shilton unfortunately hasn't listened and has come up short repeatedly because of his allegiances to Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth and whatever that party's now been rebranded as. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in Saddleworth when Western Lees were attacked, where they were actually, not necessarily the strongest, because historically that ward had Conservative candidates, had Liberal Democrat candidates, councillors, Liberal Democrat councillors. Those wards were closer, that ward, in terms of the voting split. But what you've got here in Shaw, in the power base, in the same way in the same way Sean Fielding was taken out in the Labour Party stronghold of Failsworth, in the same way that Arood Shah was taken out in the Labour Party stronghold of Chadderton South, Howard Sykes and his team are at risk in Shaw by, well, it's an insurgency, isn't it? The independents in Shaw are people of Shaw who aren't politicians, who've put forward their own candidates in the style of Failsworth independence and are taking the fight to these corrupt criminal councillors who have been working in partnership with the Labour Party friends and the malicious blogger to attack, harass and intimidate innocent members of the public whose only crime was to ask questions. That is what this boils down to. They don't want us to ask them any questions. Please get in touch with me or put some on the Facebook if you're willing to participate in this. It will be the first of our coordinated campaigns, and we will shame Amanda Chadderton, we will shame Paul Bentwhistle, we will shame Howard Sykes, and the responses we get, we will use and the consequences will be the Lib Dems in Shaw and Crompton, Saddleworth West and Leeds even, will lose votes. And that is how you hold them to account. And that is how you change things. It's using the democratic processes to our advantage. And that is why, for the last 4 years, Greater Manchester Police have been monitoring my posts and my communications with my people, because the police have been working in partnership with these corrupt politicians. No more. You can work away. I'm in court next week, by the way. You can work away. Please, if you find value in these transmissions, there's a link at the top. A samosa costs you £2, or you can use the PayPal link. I keep saying it every week, and I'll keep saying it again and again and again. And I don't have any arrogance with me. I don't. But the only way we are going to hold this criminal council to account and bring about the changes every one of us want to see in the communities in which we live is by supporting this platform. And if you don't support this platform, what are you here for? If you don't support us, if you can't afford £2 a month or something, what are you here for? It'll just go back to how it was. I will try and see you again tonight if I can. If not tonight, it'll be tomorrow. I will see you soon.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.